Sooner Nation, as Oklahoma has a huge official weekend up. Well, I wouldn't say huge, but a big official weekend up for June 9th through the 11th. And I'm sure y'all have seen the crystal balls for a specific defensive lineman that Oklahoma is targeting. So I've got to kind of give you guys my thoughts, tell you where I'm at, and hopefully give you all a little bit of hope of where Oklahoma is at. But guys, before we go ahead and dive into it, congratulations to the Oklahoma softball team who just won their third straight national championship. As a fellow Sooner, thank you for doing your good deeds and bringing us a national championship. Now, maybe the football can get it for us here in a couple of years. But guys, if you haven't already, go ahead, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, jump down in the comments below and let me know what y'all's thoughts are. What do you guys think about Joseph Jonah-Ajonye? Where do you think the Oklahoma Sooners really stand for him? So, obviously, that's who we're going to talk about today. Joseph Jonah-Ajonye. And I'm sure some of you guys have seen the crystal balls flow in for the 6'4", 255-pound defensive lineman out of Conroe, Texas, out of Oak Ridge High School. And I mean, they're not in favor of Oklahoma. They're favoring the Georgia Bulldogs. And we're going to kind of break this down because you all have heard that Georgia is Joseph Jonah-Ajonye's dream school. And a lot of people would ask the question, well, why would you come to Oklahoma over Georgia? Which is a very valid question because Georgia has won 2 straight national championships, and Georgia's been in that conversation for several years. And for Joseph Jonah-Ajonye, you go to either one of those places, you know you're going to end up being developed. But with Georgia, you might have a chance of winning a national championship maybe a little bit quicker. But here's the deal. From when I talked to Joseph Jonah-Ajonye, it looks like it was on May 22nd. Yes, he did say that Georgia made ground. And, you know, it's probably going to come down between Georgia and Oklahoma. Now, I will say this, Joseph Jonah-Ajonye still has offers from over 31 schools. He has visits currently set up to Georgia Tech. And, well, I think he's been to Georgia Tech, but he also has that visit set up to Georgia for the OV. It is safe to say, though, that this is a two-man race for the defensive lineman, who potentially could be a 5-star by the end of this cycle. Because all Joseph Jonah-Ajonye has done is continue to rise throughout the 247 composite rankings. Now, if you guys have watched the show over the past week, you guys kind of know where I stand on this. Because after Oklahoma lost Sammy Brown to Clemson, I said Georgia is going to turn on the heat to try and get Justin Williams, the 5-star linebacker, out of Oak Ridge High School in Conroe, Texas, who is Joseph Jonah-Ajonye's teammate. And no doubt in my mind, Georgia is going to try to position themselves by landing the defensive lineman to try to get Justin Williams. Now, you might be asking, well, why do they need Justin Williams when they've got another 5-star in DeMarcus Riddick? Well, if you guys haven't seen the news, DeMarcus Riddick is taking an official visit to Alabama. He is on flip watch. He's from Alabama. The writing might just be on the wall there. So Georgia's trying to secure themselves a top-tier linebacker, and Joseph Jonah-Ajonye might be the key piece to be able to do that. Now, in my opinion, even though Georgia has made up ground on Oklahoma, and although Georgia is receiving the crystal balls for Joseph Jonah-Ajonye, I still think Oklahoma and Todd Bates can pull this one out once we get him on campus for the OV. The good news is your OV is before Georgia's. So at least he's probably not going to make a decision until after he takes his OV to Georgia. That's the good news. So this still gives Todd Bates and Miguel Chavis and Brent Venables an opportunity to sell Joseph Jonah-Ajonye on being a part of this special 2024 class where you have high hopes of rebuilding the defensive line. You have high hopes of going out there and completely reshaping your defense. And Joseph Jonah-Ajonye could be one of the historical players at Oklahoma to be able to do that. And honestly, you help turn around the defense and be a part of that defensive line, you're going to be one of the more coveted players of recent memory for Oklahoma. Now, we've talked about the guys that have been offered for Oklahoma on the defensive line. You've got Williams Nwaneri, who's on campus this weekend, who almost committed the last time he was here. So maybe the number 3 overall player in the 247 composite rankings gets that reaffirmed feeling about Oklahoma. Maybe we can prevent him from taking a visit out to Oregon in late September for that Colorado game. I don't know. But the Lee Summit North Missouri kid, Jamar Mosey's up there. That's a legacy OU guy. You would hope that he can kind of help sell the kid on why you should come play for Brent Venables, why you should come be a part of this defense. Obviously, we all expect David Stone to be a part of this class outside of any outside extenuating circumstances. Edric Houston, probably out. Dominic McKinley took his OV to Ohio State, had a great time. I still like Oklahoma there, but we'll continue to follow up with Dominic McKinley and try to see exactly where he feels Oklahoma is at on his list. Then you've got Nigel Smith, who, yes, I believe a lot of people believe he's trending to Ohio State. I'm right there with you just because he's taken the OV there, but I don't think that's any negative recruiting on Oklahoma because Oklahoma has not gotten their OV in yet. I have a feeling once Oklahoma gets that OV in with Nigel Smith, you're going to see Oklahoma potentially trending there again, exactly where they were right before he took that visit to Nigel, or before Nigel Smith took that visit to Ohio State, and kind of during that dead period with Oklahoma. And then you look up and down the board of all of the other defensive linemen that Oklahoma could potentially try to get in for, or all the guys that they've at least offered. It's all there. You've got Owen Waffle out of Princeton, New Jersey. You could maybe try to go after a TJ Lindsey from IMG Academy, especially if you get David Stone. That might be your in right there. You've got an Alex January down at Duncanville. Now, I would assume Alex January probably ends up at LSU along with Colin Simmons. Just that seems where the Duncanville guys are going. You've also got Jaden Jackson, the 6'2", 300-pound defensive lineman out of IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. Jaden Jackson is teammates and friends with David Stone, so that's always a possibility. And then, of course, you've got DeAndre Cook out of Friendship Collegiate Academy in Washington, D.C. at 6'4", 260 pounds. And you've also got Tyler Moore, the 5'10", 290-pound defensive lineman out of Grove, Georgia, who is currently a 3-star in the 247 composite. Got that update. And would definitely be interesting to see if Oklahoma tries to go back into that race to land that kid out of Georgia, potentially get him in as a PWO. I think that would be big time on Todd Bates' part. So at the end of the day, if Oklahoma loses Joseph Jonah-Ajonye, I'm not worried about it because if you still land Nigel Smith, David Stone, you get a guy like Jaden Jackson, and then maybe you pick up one more somewhere, maybe, like I said, a lower tier guy, and then you get maybe an edge rusher or two in Zena Yumio Zulu or Jay-Sean Ross, then I think you're feeling okay because the opportunity to still get Williams Nwaneri is out there as well. So I get it. You all see the crystal balls flowing in for Joseph Jonah-Ajonye, especially the one from Steve Wiltfong. I don't think there's anything to worry about there. I think we all just need to let it sit. We need to wait for Oklahoma to get their official visit in. We need to let Todd Bates, Miguel Chavis, and Brent Venables do their thing. Maybe they can shut down Joseph Jonah-Ajonye's recruitment before he ends up to Georgia. But guys, go ahead, jump down the comments below. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are. Where do you guys think Joseph Jonah-Ajonye ultimately ends up?